Chapter 2. Disappearance. Taffy. Once upon a time, the girl who had finally reached the shore started crawling back to the ocean on all fours. She had found that the land creatures were strange. They had buggy eyes that threw daggers, souls that matched the night, and bodies disfigured with rage and insanity of all sorts. They had not liked the confidence exuding from this newcomer. They could sense, like animals, that she did not belong among them, and they had wasted no opportunity in showing it. The girl had tried her best to stick it out, to try to find a similar soul amongst them. She went on for days, scouring the land for a friendly face, for creatures who spoke a language she could identify. On all accounts, she failed. As she made her way towards the shore, her soul burdensome and heavy, marked with a difference she did not understand, she caught a glimpse of a beautiful man, a living god among mortals. He was leaning up against a tree near the shoreline, speaking with a crowd of other land dwellers. The stranger did not look like them. His body wasn't disfigured. His face wasn't contorted with rage. When he looked up, his eyes met the girl's for just a heartbeat, and he smiled. His smile was crooked. His eyes were kind, but with a mischievous glint to them, as if he was daring her to guess the punchline to the joke in his head. An inside joke just between them. His look didn't smite, it smoked. Her eyes pulled away from his. Her heart leapt sky high in her chest, as if it wanted to live together with his. But it quickly lurched back into place, as she couldn't bear the thought of her heart not being welcome. So she left the man god behind. She crawled back to the ocean like an abused dog, trying to convince herself that even though she didn't belong here either, she knew the lay of the ocean better. It may not bring her happiness, but there's always some comfort in habit. Swimming furiously to get some distance between the beautiful stranger and herself, the girl refused to look back. But she swore that his eyes were watching her until she was swallowed by the sea. Exhausted, but satisfied that she had traveled far enough to be out of sight, she allowed the current she had fought so hard against not so long ago drag her farther back into the waves. As she drifted, she couldn't help but think of the beautiful man god, the only one on the shore she felt any pain about leaving behind. But like with anything, once the shore went out of sight long enough, the shore and its memories faded far behind for the ugly little girl who went back to the sea. I've never felt comfortable around other people. They never seemed into what I liked, or seemed serious or smart enough to care about responsibilities. They never seemed to have a moral compass and a strong sense of duty similar to my own. The idea that fun and stupidity are synonymous never felt right to me. Sometimes I still wonder if I even know what fun really is. My guess is that I was born old, and I just don't swing to the same beat as any of the youngins all around me. Naturally, I felt separate, other, and so I kept my distance from them and cloaked myself in silence. Not speaking tends to lend you the opposite effect of what you desire. People have a strange tendency to follow me around, to watch me constantly, and to mimic what they think they see. The most common example is when I park. People copy my parking style and they park right next to me. I almost always park facing out because I despise backing up and I'd rather get it over with. The sad part is, everyone is facing in when I first park. By the time I return to my car, and or as I'm sitting in my car waiting for work to start or just getting myself situated, the majority of the cars are parked faced out now. And they usually park right next to me, even when I'm the farthest one from the entrance to the building. Now, I don't know if they are all disturbingly unaware that they just copied me, or maybe I have a weird scent or something that gives people the urge to copy me specifically. But regardless, it's gross, and it happens quite frequently. This type of behavior is typical. I navigate this minefield of stares and copycats daily, and it's exhausting. It very often feels like I'm the only one in my part of the world with a brain of my own, and that everyone else is a mimicry of a human being, a cheap and artificial imitation. This phenomenon is just one of the many things I don't fully understand. Since I kept my distance from everyone, romance naturally just wasn't a possibility. There was no way that I could let anyone get that close, particularly if they would take my tender, sensitive bits and rip them apart to laugh at, while remaining ignorant of what is good in me and failing to understand how I think and what I love and why. Reality never stopped me from fantasizing about it and what it would be like to wrap myself in someone's arms and to have him wrapped up in mine, to breathe in his scent, to be genuinely loved and respected, understood and protected. Of course, our eyes meeting in that math, history, political science class came as a huge shock to my sensitive system. You weren't looking at the speaker or staring around to figure out what you should be doing. I felt a depth in you that so many others in my life lacked, and I was intrigued. Though, me being me, I had to instantly fling myself forward to break the connection. Why? Partly it was due to your beauty. It's blinding, and I find it very difficult to look beauty in the face. The main reason is that our eyes melding was disgustingly close to us making a deeper connection. And that's something I wasn't comfortable risking. Like a crony fate, I severed the thread of life and watched you slip away. I didn't realize that without the benefit of hindsight. But your beauty is something I understood instantly. There's just no denying that. Ever since that day, I was very consciously aware of you. Your Medusa stare turned me to stone, and I wouldn't look back anymore. Though I didn't begrudge you my Greekan profile for just a taste of shy girl flirtation. In other words, with one ladylike and gentle turn of the neck, you would get a perfect view of my large nose from the side, and because I did it so gracefully, I actually thought I looked cute. But I refused to take my head out of the sand and truly look at you, or at anyone else for that matter. I couldn't even tell you who was in my class, but I felt you, and I so desperately wanted you to talk to me, because Lord knows I wouldn't initiate that with you first for a ridiculous amount of reasons. One of the most prominent being that I am an old-fashioned woman, and you are the man, and the man is supposed to ask the woman out. So there, I justified myself enough to do nothing. That decision left me aching deeply for the beautiful, godlike stranger in my alleged math class. But this ugly chick decided to run back into the ocean just to drift out to sea again. Like with anything, once we no longer had the same class together, I'd forgotten you for a time. I even forgot your name. That sounds harsh, I know, for someone who seemed so smitten before, but it just doesn't make sense to hold on to who you think you'll never see again, and who's too high above you for you to realistically obtain. It was strange, though, how I still weirdly carried you around with me subconsciously. There was a moment when I was walking down the hallway by myself when there was an announcement summoning you to the principal's office. Even though I'd forgotten your name before, when I heard it announced over the intercom, I knew it was you, and I fell